Today I'm going over 10 vehicles I would never buy again in Grand Theft Auto Online. Some of these vehicles are just generally really bad, some of them should be good and they're still bad, and some of them are so expensive that they have absolutely no right to be anywhere close to as bad as they are. Leave a like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new, let's go. Starting us off with the Vapid Ellie for $565,000. This thing at least is relatively cheap. However, it is one of the worst cars in Grand Theft Auto Online, and there are a few reasons for this. To get started, it has a top speed of 105.5 miles per hour, which is terribly slow. Just for reference, the HVY Night Shark is quite literally faster than this thing is at top speed, and it's a fully armored military vehicle. Kind of insane to think about. The Vapid Ellie also has fairly weak customization, and a big part of its problem also stems from an advanced handling flag called engine resistance. This makes the car shift extremely late every time it shifts gears. This stunts the acceleration and it stunts the top speed as well. Also, for a car that's supposed to be based on like a 65 to 69 Mustang, I think the Vapid Ellie does a pretty terrible job of doing that because it doesn't look that close, and the customization, like I mentioned earlier, falls really short, especially compared to something like a Vapid Dominator GTT, for example, because that thing is infinitely better, and it's what the Ellie really should have been. Overall, the Ellie is definitely a car I would never buy ever again in GTA Online. It's just simply not that good. Up next, I'm going with the Overflawed Entity MT for $2,355,000, plus an additional optional $855,000 initial HSW upgrade. This will take the top speed from 131.25 miles per hour up to 151.25 miles per hour. And you might be wondering, why the Overflawed Entity MT? Those top speeds sound excellent. And the reason is because this thing, like the Vapid Ellie, also has the advanced handling flag called engine resistance, which again makes the car's acceleration absolutely awful. So while it does have a good top speed, getting to said top speed will take absolutely forever. Now, compared to the Vapid Ellie, the Entity MT is going to do a much better job getting there. It's going to be a lot faster generally, but it really is a shame because they clearly copied the code from the Overflawed Entity XXR onto the MT because that car feels the exact same as the Entity MT does. And it's something that's truly a shame because I really love how the Overflawed Entity MT looks. It's based off the Koenigsegg Jesko in real life, which is a very cool car, and customization wise this thing is also fantastic, but performance wise it is terrible, especially considering the HSW upgrade that it has. Compared to a car that doesn't have engine resistance, it is absolutely terrible. The Devastate, for example, which is right around the same top speed, will get to that top speed 20 seconds faster than the Entity MT will. It really is a shame. This car had so much potential and it could have been so much better. I just wish that Rockstar did not give it the engine resistance handling flag. Up next, we have the LS Car Meet Dinka Jester RR for $2,290,000. This thing is a complete scam. It says on the website that it has limited customization options, which is very nice, but it doesn't tell you exactly how limited it is, and I will tell you the limit right now. You can turn the livery off, you can change the color, you can change the wheels, all the basic things you can do on any car in GTA Online pretty much, and that's where the customization ends. And considering that the Jester RR regular version has some of the best customization in the entire game, for the LS Car Meet version that has a wide body kit to get literally none of it is extremely lazy of Rockstar. I'm really not sure why they did this because Rockstar usually does a much better job than this, but the Jester RR LS Car Meet version just sucks. Does the wide body kit look cool? Yes. However, that's it. Everything else, the regular Jester RR is pretty much better. The one advantage that the LS Car Meet Dinka Jester RR gets is that it handles slightly better. This thing for $2,290,000 is an absolute insult. It is a car you should never buy in my opinion. It's just simply not worth it. Buy the regular Jester RR and be done with it. Next up, we have the Buckingham Weaponized Kanata for $3,385,000. And the reason that I would never buy this again is because the Buzzard is simply way better and it's less than half the price. and it's about half the price of the weaponized Kanata. Now, the weaponized Kanata does have a top speed of 151 miles per hour. It is one of the fastest armed helicopters in the entire game, and it does have pretty good handling as well, which I do like. However, that's about where the benefits end with the weaponized Kanata, because the guns on the Kanata are way worse than the Buzzards, because the Buzzards are the best in the entire game. It has the exact same homing and non-homing missiles as the Buzzard as well, but it just is in an overall worse package, and it's almost double the price. The Kanata does look cool, I will give it that as well, but really the Buzzard is just a much better vehicle, especially if you're considering value. I would never buy a weaponized Kanata ever again. Up next, we have the Volcar Warrener HKR for $945,000 to $1,260,000, and if you can't tell already why I don't like this vehicle, the price should have told you that, but here we are. The Warrener HKR is like a Warrener, but with a truck bed. It's very, very odd looking. Customization wise, it's got a decent amount of stuff that can be done, and it was added with the Los Santos Tuners DLC. However, my real issue with the Warrener HKR is that it is one of the slowest vehicles I have ever driven. And I'm fully aware that it's not meant to be a supercar, it's not meant to be the fastest vehicle ever, but it is just incredibly frustrating to drive. It has a top speed of 107 miles per hour, it accelerates poorly, it's rear-wheel drive, and overall it is just an awful experience to drive this vehicle. I know some people really love this thing, but I think most people can probably agree the Warrener HKR is at the very least way too expensive, especially considering the regular Warrener is a $120,000 car. I don't know how the truck bed added like $800,000 to the price of this thing, but it's pretty insane to me. The Warrener HKR, definitely one I would never buy again. Up next, we have the Cheval Taipan for $1,980,000 with a top speed of 126.25 miles per hour, and this one ties into the next vehicle we're going to go over as well. The Taipan is based off of the Hennessy Venom F5, and it is absolutely nothing like it at all. The Taipan, like some of the other cars we've gone over, has engine resistance. Shifts slow, accelerates poorly, and the top speed somehow is 126.25 miles per hour, but again, it will take you absolutely forever to get there. The Taipan also has a bit of a scaling issue. The car is absolutely massive, and a bunch of other vehicles from the same DLC and time period where the Taipan came out have the same issue. They're all really weirdly scaled, and I don't know why it happened. The Taipan is a supercar, and it has barely any customization, and the customization that it does have is very basic and very dry. It is overall not a very good car, and considering it's almost $2 million, it's just crazy. I would never buy the Taipan ever again. And some of you may have guessed, but up next we have the Overflawed Tyrant that came out in the same DLC, but this thing is even worse because it's larger than the Taipan, but it has the same top speed of 126.25 miles per hour. It has the same engine resistance, but it costs an additional $500,000, coming in at $2,515,000. This is one of the most expensive cars in all of GTA Online, and it's one of the worst and most disappointing supercars of all time. So not only does it also accelerate extremely slowly up to its top speed, but like the Taipan as well, it has pretty terrible handling, it understeers, it has snap oversteer, it feels like it has no grip and no downforce. But the biggest thing is that the Tyrant is about the same size as a Mammoth Patriot, which is a Hummer, which is crazy. The Tyrant could have been such a good car. It looks awesome if it was just downscaled a little bit and not so massive. And if it didn't have engine resistance, I really could have liked the Tyrant. And I think that's one of the most frustrating parts about it, is that it had potential, but it just didn't quite cut it. Up next, we have the Fister Comet S2 for $1,408,500 to $1,878,000 with a top speed of 122 miles per hour. This is one of the worst handling cars in the entire game, which is kind of insane because it's based off of a Porsche 911, which is regarded by a lot of people as one of the best handling cars ever. It's rear-wheel drive and it has fantastic, and I mean fantastic, customization. This car was added with the Los Santos Tuners DLC. It can even be stanced to get even more speed out of it, which is really cool. and it's based off of a Porsche 911 from the 992 generation, the most up-to-date and modern generation of Porsche 911s. The Comet S2 has the weirdest handling I have ever experienced in GTA Online from a sports car. It is just bizarre. It feels like the rear end is driving on McDonald's trays, but it's rear-wheel drive, so it somehow has grip, but then it will just randomly lose it in the corners. It does a pretty good job, I think, of the inertia point that Porsche 911s do experience in real life, having the engine mounted over the rear axle. However, it just has none of the downforce to keep it in place like the real 911s do, which is incredibly frustrating. It's also really expensive, especially considering that the handling is as bad as it is. And I think it's just incredibly frustrating, like a lot of the cars on this list, especially like the overflowed Entity MT, where it's like, I want to love this car, I love how it looks, but the driving experience is just simply awful. At number 2, we have one of the most expensive cars in the entire game, the Grotti X80 Proto for $2,700,000. This car is just entirely broken. I don't even know where to start. It's all-wheel drive, which is great. The handling is okay, actually, to be honest, but it's very weird because depending on the direction you're heading on the map, the Grotti X80 Proto is going to handle differently. For example, if you're heading north and you turn right, it will have full downforce. But if you're heading south and you turn right, it will have no downforce. It's very strange, and it's all to do with the active aero that you'll see all over the Grotti X80 Protos, particularly rear end, with the flaps that move in the wind as you're driving. Whenever Rockstar programmed those, I guess they programmed it for the car to be heading north or south, or whichever direction it actually works in, but it's completely bipolar because it doesn't work in some areas of the map, and it does work in other areas of the map, but it's all dependent on which direction you're facing. It's unfortunate because it actually has a decent top speed of 128.25 miles per hour, but the downforce inconsistencies really do make it hard to race with, and therefore not a very good car when it comes to racing. And for a $2.7 million car, you should be able to race it pretty effectively, at least in my opinion. If you want to know more about the Grotti X80 Proto's weirdness, Bruffy1322 has a really good video on the topic from a few years ago that you should go and check out. But at number 1, the vehicle that I would never ever consider buying again is the Pegassi Tesseract for $2,825,000, the most expensive car on the list, and it is just weird. It's based off of a Lamborghini concept car, and it's fully electric in GTA, and a lot of people really like to give it credit because it is not affected by the catch-up setting in races, which is pretty cool to its credit. It has a top speed of 125.75 miles per hour, which is also quite good for an electric car, but the problem is, it can't go around corners. The rear end on this vehicle will just spin out on you anytime you go to turn. It doesn't matter if you've braked for the corner, it doesn't matter if you're entering the corner at below speed or over speed, this car just simply loves to spin out. Personally, I also don't love the styling of the Tesseract, it's way too futuristic for my liking, kind of similar to the Grotti X80 Proto in that regard as well. The Tesseract had potential to be awesome, and even with the spoiler option on and underglow on it to try to improve the handling as much as possible, it does not seem to matter. The Tesseract will just do what the Tesseract wants, and it seems like the thing the Tesseract wants the most is to spin you out into the ocean. It is a very weird car, and it is certainly extremely overpriced. So there you have it. Those are 10 vehicles I would never buy again in Grand Theft Auto Online. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know some cars that you would never buy again in GTA Online. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care. Peace.